Stand by to initiate release sequencer. On my mark. 5.
We're on express elevator to hell. Going down.
2. 1. Mark.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mark, a.k.a. Derringer. Today is Sunday, August 27th, and you are listening to episode 120 of the Instant Action Podcast, your weekly source for Planetside 2 news and information. As always, I'm brought to you by great listeners like you via the Support the Show tab on instantactionpodcast.com. So first off this week, before I even start talking about Planetside 2, I just wanted to reach out to my listeners in Texas who are dealing with hurricane, now tropical storm, Harvey, who's creating a hell of a time for you folks down there. I know a bunch of people who live in Texas. I know a couple people who actually live in Houston, hoping that all you are safe and well and are not flooded out of your homes like what I'm hearing on NPR these past few days. And just going to make a suggestion to anybody who's listening, if you're looking to help folks in the path of Hurricane Harvey whose homes and lives are being absolutely destroyed by this, you can always go to redcross.org, make a donation. I also know that the Red Cross is looking for blood donations at this time as well. They say that there is an emergency need for it as a result of what's going on down in Texas. So, please, if you feel so inclined, please do it. And again, if you are a regular listener of this show in the Houston area, Texas area in general, I am definitely thinking about you guys. Now, on to personal playing a bit of Planetside 2, especially this weekend, because obviously there was a members, or is going on still, a members double XP weekend. That is always the last weekend of every month. So I've been playing a hell of a lot of Planetside 2, trying to finish off BR 118 to BR 119 within this double XP weekend. I'm pretty close. After I finish recording, I'm probably going to pop in tonight for a little bit and try and grind out a few more bars worth of BR 119. I would like to be BR 120 sooner rather than later, at least on one of my characters, and I've certainly been lax on doing that, so I need to get my ass in gear. But unfortunately, I can pretty much say that I'm going to be playing zero Planetside 2 next week, and there's a few reasons. First off, I'm sure everybody is aware that the Destiny 2 beta for PC actually comes out. If you pre-ordered, it's going to be out on Monday the 28th. So if anybody else has pre-ordered, I pre-ordered because I'm a big Destiny fan, and I'm definitely looking forward to Destiny 2 playing on PC this time around rather than either PS4 or Xbox like I did in the past. I just think I'll do better in an FPS like Destiny 2 when I'm playing it on the PC. And exciting news, I have found Torx, who is also going to be playing Destiny 2 on the PC. For those who are not familiar, Torx was my co-host back when we were doing Reachcast for Planetside 2. So he and I are going to be reunited in a new game together. We haven't played together in a long time. Definitely not since he pretty much quit Planetside 2 altogether. So it's going to be nice to be chatting with him and catching up with him. I talk to him every now and then. Same thing with Knox as well. The three of us do keep in touch since we did Reachcast for so long together. That does not mean that we're going to get the gang back together and do a Destiny 2 podcast. I just don't think that that's in the cards. Plus, there are numerous Destiny podcasts out there already that there isn't a niche that we need to fill like there is for Planetside 2 itself. So that's going to take me through Monday night, through Tuesday night too, and then on Wednesday, the wife and I are going off on vacation alone for the rest of the week. Actually, our wedding anniversary is the 31st of August, so we're going to go away for the second half of the week and kind of celebrate that. So I am not going to have access to a PC during that time, so Yeah, like I said, I'm going to have very little Planetside 2 play in the next week. So hopefully that means the Critical Mass update is going to drop on PTS next week, so I actually have something to talk about on next week's show. Unlike this week's show, which is very Planetside 2 news light. And honestly, that's because it's been very quiet over at Daybreak Games. So expect a show this week that has some Planetside 2 news stuff and then a lot of community-related stuff. So you might be asking yourself, what is actually in store for this week's show? Well, first, I do want to go over Rel's most recent live stream. He was on Twitch on August 26th and answered a lot of general questions about Planetside 2 and its current state. Then I want to go over Serious Gaming's most recent YouTube video about outfits, followed by Iridar's newest toy, a Ballistic Crosshair for snipers. And then finally, I want to go over a topic that came up in an open squad that I joined, and that topic is membership. So strap in as we hot drop into another episode of the Instant Action Podcast. So like I said, first up this week, Rel's August 26th Twitch stream. If you guys follow Rel on Twitch, and if you don't, you should, because he doesn't stream every week, but when he does, he plays, and that's pretty cool. But what else he does while he plays, when he dies usually, or when he's just looking at the map trying to find something to do, he takes questions from the folks in the Twitch audience. And this is an excellent opportunity to get maybe some of your more random questions or less mainstream questions asked. And while he does get a decent amount of viewers, it's not like his channel is completely inundated with people, and you can pretty much get some of your questions answered. Now, I've joined his live streams in the past, and I've been able to ask questions and get answers from him directly. So, again, if you're not following Rel on Twitch, you should. Does he use Rel or Rel Plays? Let me take a look here. Yeah, it looks like his Twitch stream is just Rel. It's not Rel Plays. That's his Twitter handle. So, yeah, go on Twitch, download the desktop app. I downloaded that a week or two ago. It's very nice. It runs very well. I have it open at all times. And look for Rel, follow him, because when he does go live, you'll get a notification that he's gone live, and you can pop in and check out his particular stream. So some of the things that he went over, or some of the questions that he answered, first was regarding, someone asked a question regarding vehicle weapons, new vehicle weapons, and if we're going to see them in-game anytime soon. And he said that we're probably not going to see anything anytime soon. They have some kind of sitting on standby that hopefully are going to come out with combined arms, but he doesn't really think that they will, because there's still some polish and some other things that needs to be done with these weapons, and they'll probably come out a little while after that. Next, someone asked a question about four-man buggies. Four-man buggies, not so much buggies, but four-man vehicles were something that we had in the original Planetside. There were a couple different things, 4 or 5. Basically, something that held more people. And if I remember correctly, the Terran Republic had a pretty nasty one, which was the Raider. But now that I think about it, I think that was just a variant of the Deliverer at this point. The Deliverer was able to carry 5 people. 1 driver, 2 gunners, 2 passengers. But like I said, the Terran Republic version, I remember having 4 guns on it, and it was an absolute beast to kind of fight through. So somebody asked a question regarding things like that. And in this case, they were asking about buggies specifically. And Rel says that they were never finished. They're not even in a state that's close to finish, so don't expect 4-man buggies or anything like that anytime soon within the game itself. Next, we had an Emerald player who was asking specifically about the outfit recursion, and how they can kind of be dicks within the game, and how they're zerging a lot and things like that. And now, I play on Emerald, so I see recursion a lot, and I don't mind fighting against recursion. So when this person was actually complaining about seeing recursion a lot, It didn't really bother me clearly as much as it did them, because this person was specifically complaining about recursion zerging. And honestly, recursion isn't the ones, in my opinion, I'll talk about rel in a second. In my opinion, recursion themselves don't zerg. Recursion seems to surf the zerg one way or another so that they can get kills. And I consider the recursion players to be some of the better ones on Emerald right now. There's always a good fight whenever I see recursion out there. Do they take advantage of some shady mechanics like head glitching maxes or things like that? Sure, but I think all sides do that. So when this person asked a question about recursion zerging, I kind of scoffed at it, and I think that Rel scoffed at it as well because he thinks he rarely sees it happening. It's more that the zerg follows recursion, not the other way around, but he's quick to say that that's his personal experience, and that's my personal experience as well. Maybe recursion does seem to always drop itself on a 48-48 fight, and it turns into a 96-48 fight, but I don't think that they're so much causing the zerg or being the zerg as much as dropping onto a fight that might be zerged and pushing it through so that it ends sooner. Again, I don't have a problem with their gameplay, and I always think that it's a good fight, and especially when I kill a recursion player, it makes me happy. Next, someone asked a question about the reporting system within Planetside 2, and Rel was quick to point out that is something that goes through customer service. It's completely separate, has nothing to do with him or any of the other developers of Planetside 2. They have their own queues to process through. They do their own investigations, and that includes in-game reports and things like that. He also said that he wasn't really sure if it was helpful to include links to images and videos because he doesn't know if they actually view them. He assumed kind of they do if they're short, but he wanted everybody to kind of imagine having to process reports from thousands and thousands of players, and do you really have time to go through all videos or pictures or things like that? Just kind of a little information from a developer side looking at the reporting system of the customer service side. Next, somebody asked about new Empire-specific weapons, and Rel was quick to say that yes, the new Empire-specific weapons are coming, and Doku was actually contracted for the art of them, and he's got the NC set done, and has actually started to work on the TR set. I'm trying to remember back to when I had Rel on the show. I think he said that the potential Derringer pistol in the game was one that Doku had done. So it's kind of excited for me if he says that the new Empire specific weapons are coming, especially if the potential Derringer pistol is built into it. As I've said 1,000 times, I don't have a huge ego. I just think that it would be really cool to be commemorated or memorialized within a game like Planetside 2. I'm not a developer. I couldn't do anything like that. It's not in my wheelhouse. But the fact that I've done 104 episodes of Reachcast, this is episode 120 of the Instant Action podcast. I've basically been podcasting about Planetside 2 since 2012. So for those keeping track, we're going on 5 years of my life that I've been podcasting about Planetside 2. I enjoy doing it. I do it for the audience, my fans, the people who listen, who want news like this. So just getting some kind of little acknowledgement or head nod from Daybreak Games in the form of an in-game weapon would be the ultimate thing for someone like me. And I would be eternally grateful to the folks at Daybreak Games if something like that happens. On the flip side, if something like that never happens, so be it. I certainly get it. Next, he was asked about the Critical Mass update coming to PTS. Since this happened on a Saturday, Rel had tweeted earlier in the week, I think Friday, saying they were hoping to get a Critical Mass update onto PTS, but that it never kind of materialized. So it was kind of him putting a final stamp on it saying, no, you're not going to see it this weekend, but they're hoping that the build is going to be out next week, and specifically early next week. I'm hoping it comes out on Monday or Tuesday. Yes, I'm going to be playing a lot of Destiny 2 beta but I would love to read the full patch notes for the critical mass build when it does come out. So like I said, hopefully that comes out on Monday or Tuesday. Otherwise, I'm probably not going to read about it until Sunday when I get back from vacation. Next, somebody asked about the PTS updates in general and release dates, release times, things like that. And he said that the dates really don't matter because whenever they feel that there's something good enough to put out on PTS, that they'll just put it out, even if it's a Friday, and that they don't just do that for live updates. Next, someone asked what the most popular weapon within the game is, and Rel, was clarifying, is that most popular bought with Daybreak Cash, and if so, it was the Commissioner is the most popular weapon bought with Daybreak Games Cash, which I found amusing because I don't think I purchased a Commissioner because they seem to just come free with every bundle, so I'm wondering if that's lumping in bundle purchases as well or not. And he did say that most recently the Archer is the best-selling weapon for Daybreak Cash within the game currently. And that devolved into a question about gold weapons because everybody's talking about gold variants. And Rel thinks that for the most part, people don't want to buy gold variants of weapons. And that's the reason that they're not spending much time on them at all lately within the game itself. It could happen at some point down the road, but they don't really want to clutter the loadout screen if they can help it. Kind of hope that there's some other solutions for that, maybe with a UI programmer making the weapon screens a little better. And he also goes on to comment that they're not planning on rewarding people with gold weapons for insane commitments to them. So really that the one name that jumps out to me is Aflic, someone who I play with, have played with in the past. He's always trying to get that gold anchor for the number of kills that he has with the weapon, and it doesn't sound like that is going to happen anytime soon. Next, Rel was asked if there were any guns that he thinks needs a buff, and he said, yeah, there's a few out there, but they're not super critical, so you're just not going to see a lot of buffing to guns coming up, but there could be some buffs in the future. Next, he was asked about the Bastion fleet carriers, which obviously that's something that we saw in the Critical Mass update. And somebody was asking about non-cosmetic versions of them. He says anything's possible. He also says that they are currently touchable if they're in Critical Mass, but they're above the flight ceiling, which means you can shoot at them, but you're not going to be able to get them. And since they're above the flight ceiling, you're not going to be able to pilot a vehicle up to get to them either. Next, he was asked a question about sidearms, and in his response to it, he thinks that sidearms in general kind of stink because he doesn't think that they're spammable for the most part. He thinks the Repeater or the Beamer are, and maybe the Desperado on New Conglomerate, but even them, they're all not that great. He also thinks that they need less bloom, especially while aiming down sights. Maybe that's something that he'll do for sidearms in the future. Next, he was asked about sanctuaries, and for those that have forgotten, sanctuaries were something that were in the original Planetside, and that was where you logged into the game itself. There was a area that you could run around in, that you could go to the virtual reality, you could hit a warp gate and actually jump to a different continent, and there was also the Heart, the high altitude rapid transport that you could jump on and then go to any continent within the game itself. The reason somebody asked about sanctuaries is because we kind of saw them on the map screen during the Critical Mass live stream. Rel wasn't going to answer anything about it. He says, is it real? Is it not? I guess we'll never know. It would be interesting if we're actually going to see sanctuaries on the Critical Mass update. I guess we're just going to have to wait and see on that particular one. Next, someone asked if there were going to be any Liberator changes upcoming, and Rel says yes. There's a bunch of changes coming with the Combined Arms update, so hopefully we're going to see Combined Arms update and Critical Mass update at the same time. That's what I still have my fingers crossed about. Next, he was asked about grief points because somebody wanted to know how grief points exactly work. And he said you kind of think of it as building up heat. It knows when you're hitting targets a lot, and then after a while it kind of cools off. But he wanted to iterate specifically that it's not a simple system. And he's not going to go into details on how it works because he's afraid that people will abuse the system if they know how it works. So grief points are going to remain a mystery at this time. Next, he was asked about performance, and he said that there is an update coming, but it's not going to do anything for frame rates. He does understand that the hitching that people are experiencing is kind of annoying. But there's nothing concrete that they're specifically trying to nail down to fix the hitching. They could be making some incremental improvements, though, and that's all they can really do right now. Next, he spent some time talking about the Meltdown alert itself. Now, the Meltdown, obviously, is what happens when one faction reaches the victory point threshold to launch this particular alert, and then you've got the 2 versus 1. But he says, get ready for it because the Meltdown in its current state is going to PTS, and then it is going to go to live. It's not like they're going to be scrapping Meltdown altogether. You're going to see it on live, and that it's a system that they intend to build on top of. And he hopes that it will allow them to answer a lot of questions. Now, he does understand that there are some concerns regarding 2v1, and there's no denying that he thinks it's one of the worst feelings in the game itself. And it's pretty safe to anticipate that the faction triggering the alert is going to have the most population of the game. We're going to see 2v1s. It's going to happen. And I, for one, stepping aside from Rel's comments, I want to see it happen. Let's see how good the faction is that launches this Meltdown alert. Let's see if they can continue to hold off 2 factions at once. I would love to be the overpop faction trying to fight off on 2 fronts. It would make for some very interesting gameplay and allow me to ping pong back and forth from fighting the 2 other factions that are attacking me. I get it that there's some concerns over 2v1, but until we actually see it, on the PTS, on live, play around with it, we're not going to know if it's really an issue or not. And to end his stream, he did some rapid fire Q&A. Someone asked about leadership, making it less boring. Maybe in the long term, he said. Somebody asked about concepts like a free-for-all fight. Rel said that maybe there could be some other game modes in the future, but not now. He asked if there were any plans to change maxes. He said all maxes are in a good state, except for maybe scat maxes at this point. Someone asked about fixing hives built in the middle of nowhere. And Rel said that the PTS update is coming, and it will remove the invulnerability from walls, and the repair module will do the normal amount of repair. He did also kind of quip that he would like to see construction as temporary structures as well within the game itself. Someone else asked if stealth on ESFs could become passive, and he said no. Someone else asked if all 3 factions maxes have the same amount of health points or hit points, and he said yes, that's standard. And then he ended the show talking about the NSX weapons and weapon balance for them. So all in all, I'm going to include a link to his stream. It's worth going and watching. I mean, and again, if you're not following him on Twitch, you really should, because a lot of interesting stuff goes on. I mean, you can watch his gameplay. I'd rather play the game than watch, in my humble opinion. But the fact that he takes the time to go through and talk about different things and answer questions like this, I wish more of the developers did something like this within Planetside 2. It would bring the community together a lot more. So, again, thank you, Rel, for doing something like this. And while you do it, I will continue to report about it. All right, topic 2 this week was a YouTube video put out by Serious Gaming, and it's titled Surviving Your Second Hour in Planetside, Joining the Community. And I'm bringing this video to light because potentially there could be some new people listening to this show, or someone who's out there being a lone wolf within Planetside 2, doesn't want to join an outfit or participate in the community and things like that. So I want to present to you this video that they put together. And first of all, it was excellently done. It was very well done. I watched the whole thing. Granted, I knew the majority of the stuff that he talked about, so it's not like this was any new news for me. But that being said, he succinctly goes through why you should be joining an outfit, how to join an outfit, how to join an outfit within the game itself, how to search them, how to read the blurbs, some suggestions on which outfits to focus on, to some things to look at, like specifically, look at how many players they have in the outfit, but look at also how many players are online right now, because you obviously want to find an outfit that meshes with your current play times. And if they have 1,000 people in their outfit, but only 2 or 3 of them are online when you're online, that's probably not the outfit for you. He also pushes people over to the official forums where you can find information on outfits there. But more so, he pushed people over to Reddit because while Reddit has the Planetside Reddit, where I spend, I go every day for news. But there's also links to the various server-specific subreddits and lots of extra information on joining outfits and finding things like that. And that adds to the overarching thing of joining the community itself, because as he points out, head over to Reddit, you're going to see lots of content that people like I provide for the community. I provide my podcast, other people provide videos, other people provide tutorials, such as this serious gaming tutorial. Like I said, all in all, I thought it was excellently done. And if you are a newer player within Planetside 2 and you have not joined an outfit or participated in the community because you're afraid of it, go watch this video and see if it'll change your mind. All right, third topic this week is about a Ballistic Crosshair overlay that Iridar is advertising on his website. He also has a very short YouTube video out about it. And this is an alternative to using a ballistic table, which is also on his website. So it's a crosshair. And obviously to use a crosshair within Planetside 2, you need to install something like the recursion stat tracker with the crosshair overlay module. This is something that I recently installed on my game, and if you watch any of the videos that I put up for my PC gameplay, you'll see my little red crosshair on the screen. It is extremely useful playing Planetside 2 to have this crosshair. I love it. I don't think I can play without it. So first off, install recursion, get the overlay module, and then maybe you can use something like what Iridar is pushing out. So it's designed for use with the crosshair that he has on his site. Actually, is designed for a 550 meter per second projectile velocity sniper rifle, such as the long-range semi-auto sniper rifles and the Tier 2 bolt-action rifles. And they also have to have a 6x scope on them. It's also for using your monitor at a 1920 by 1080 resolution, that's 1080p, and a vertical field of view of 74 degrees. And what the overlay does is it has the crosshairs built in, showing the height of a standard infantry target at 200 meters or 250 meters, and is useful to help you measure your distance to the target. And then there's a couple of dots below the crosshair to compensate for bullet drop. So what you want to do is get your target within 2 kind of bars, and then that will, where the head is, that will actually tell you where you need to line up your shot above or on their head to actually hit a headshot. Now, while he says that this is a proof of concept, and it's obviously not going to work with players using other vertical field of views or resolutions or a rifle with different zoom or projectile velocity. If you're using the long-range semi-auto sniper rifle or the Tier 2 bolt actions, this is actually a pretty cool little tool to use in the game itself. I do kind of fear that, Daybreak Games is fine with having the Crosshair overlay within the game itself, but I wonder if they're going to look at something like this and say that it breaks their terms of service and we might not be able to use the Crosshair overlay itself going forward. Does that mean I'm going to still try this out and play with it? You bet your ass I'm going to. I finished up my engineer. I'm working through my light assault. And then after that, I'm going to want to play around with the infiltrator and specifically doing a little bit of sniping. So this is where I'm going to go to next. So I'll include a link to this on Iridar's site in case anybody is curious about checking it out. I think it's a cool concept, and it's definitely thinking outside the box. And once again, something that Iridar put together that I'm a huge fan of. So finally this week, I want to talk about a topic that came up while I was in an open squad this weekend. Obviously, I've been playing the hell out of the membership double XP because I need to get myself to BR 120 on my new conglomerate character sooner rather than later. It's my end of year goal, I guess. I should make it well before the end of year, but it's my end of year goal at this current point. And so a few people that I was playing with were asking about, why am I not getting double XP? I wish I was getting double XP. And then I chimed in saying, it's members only double XP weekend. And they were all, saying, oh, that sucks. Maybe we should get membership. And then they said, well, how much is membership? And I pointed out that it's $14.99 a month for membership. Now, obviously, if you purchase it in different quantities, like a 3-month, a 6-month, or a full year, it's going to be less. If you go and purchase a 3-month membership, you're only paying $12.99 a month or $38.97 billed every 3 months. If you do it for 6 months, you're paying $11.99 a month, and that's billed twice a year at $71.94. Or you can purchase 12 months in full, and that is at $9.99 per month or $119.88 billed annually. So I'm currently on the 1 month duration. I do pay $14.99 a month. I should probably pay for 3 months so I can be billed a little bit less. But I'm fine paying it at the level that I'm paying it and just kind of leaving it at that. So they were all wondering, first of all, everyone balked at paying $14.99 a month for membership in Planetside 2. And I felt that was kind of telling. So they asked, what do you get for $14.99 a month? And of course, you get premium in-game benefits in participating Daybreak games, and that's a big seller. They always say that if you're paying that $14.99, you're also going to get things in H1Z1, you're going to get things in DCUO, you're going to get basically whatever game that they have running, you've got other in-game benefits within those games themselves. I don't play any other Daybreak games. I only play Planetside 2, so that one is kind of worthless for me at this point. You also get 500 Daybreak cash each month. Note that you do specifically have to go in and claim it. I wish that it would just automatically claim for me when I log in each month. I don't like the fact that I need to click it. I feel that that is deceitful if I am not playing for a month or forget to click on it. That's neither here nor there. I also get 10% off unlimited marketplace purchases. That certainly does come in handy. A little bit of a discount doesn't hurt anybody. And finally, you get a lot of exclusive promotions and offers. Currently, those really are member double XP weekends only. So this begs the question, is membership worth it in Planetside 2? Now, like I said, I do pay for membership. So am I skewed one way or another? No, I don't think so. Because even though I pay for the membership, and obviously I do also get the bonus to having what are the in-game bonuses that you get, like getting plus 50% experience, plus 3% experience for anybody else in your squad. You also get the 48 certs per day. You get plus 50% resources. You also get the login queue priority. I guess that's a big one. And you also get the 3 additional character slots and 3 additional loadout slots. So that's what it is for membership itself. So do I think it's actually worth it at this point? For someone who's not BR 120 on every character that I play, it can be worth it if you're thinking about that 50% experience, the plus 50% resources. Someone who wants to can pull a max all day long if they really want to. The login queue priority is also pretty good. The double XP bonuses every week, every month, I do love that, and I do play a lot during those. So as a sub BR 120 player, I do think the membership is kind of worth it. I'm still kind of on the fence. Another reason I do it is just to support the game itself, to support the developers and continue to show my support. In the past, I have canceled membership. I'm not planning on doing that anytime soon. But if I do hit BR 120, I think that might be the time for me to rethink whether I'm going to continue to pay for membership. Because at that point, the 50% experience, the 50% resources, and the double XP weekends do not matter to me as much as they do currently. So, again, just to kind of sum it all up, if you are a sub BR 120 player, I think membership probably is not the worst thing in the world. If you're someone like me and you support one game with a membership, then do what I do and do it to Planetside 2. In the past, I've chosen between Planetside 2 and World of Warcraft. I flip-flop back and forth between the two. I'm back on Planetside 2 at this point. But like I said, once I hit BR 120, I'm going to have to sit down and do a rethinking if membership is something that I want to do. So I guess that's the kind of internal discussion I wanted to have with membership. And when we talk about membership, we got to think about other games. What are some of the other top games right now? I mean, Overwatch is huge. Lawbreakers is really taking off. Destiny 2 is going to be taking off soon. PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds is a big one. And I know there are a few other free-to-play games out there that are big FPS titles. Most of them are not charging any sort of monthly fee, especially those top 3 that I just named. They're a straight purchase, and then you get everything going forward. Granted, you can purchase things like loot boxes in Overwatch and also in PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds now as well. So those are kind of a little bit different than Planetside 2, but I don't think that I would ever pay full price for a game and then also get a monthly purchase unless it's a game like World of Warcraft sometime in the future. So again, that's just something to kick around if you've ever been considering purchasing membership within Planetside 2. That's how my internal thought process works. I told the folks that I was running with that they should listen to this week's show because I would be talking about membership and my thoughts on membership itself. With that, let's move on to this week's housekeeping.
Housekeeping. Housekeeping.
Come back later, please.
Housekeeping.
Not now.
Housekeeping.
Go away.
I coming anyway?
So unfortunately this week, no voicemails, no emails, nothing like that. So how can you get in touch with me? How can you get in touch with me? Let's take a step back. That's going to be it for this week's show, I guess. So how could you get in touch with me or the show if you wanted to? As always, my website's the first place, www.instantactionpodcast.com. Second, you can send me an email. People have done it in the past, instantactionshow@gmail.com. You can also call me and leave me a voicemail. That's 347-4VM-4PS2 or 347-486-4772. If you leave me a voicemail, it's guaranteed I will play it on the show. You can also catch me on Twitter. The show's Twitter is @InstActPodcast, and my Twitter is @TheDerringer. So as always, in closing, if you've enjoyed the show, please leave me a review on your podcast listening avenue of choice, whether it's iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or anywhere else. Also, feel free to tell your friends and outfit mates about the show. And finally, Thanks for listening, and keep spamming that Join Combat, formerly known as Instant Action button.